All right. Well, welcome to the Aachen info session. We're so glad that you're here. I am going to just turn it right over to our partner from Aachen, Jan. And Jan, if you want to introduce yourself and take it away, I will fade into the background.
Sure, sounds good to me. Well, I will spare the official welcome because there's only two of you here. So, as I said before, I like to keep this informal and any questions you may have. But yes, to make this official, my name's Jan. I coordinate the strategy for North America and Australia at our university. And I'm glad to be talking to you today about our program and your possibilities and opportunity to come to Aachen next summer, hopefully. We did have 8 students from the University of Michigan joining us this year, so we hope to have similar numbers next year. Even though there's only two of you now, I'm sure there's going to be more interest at some point in the future as well, because we always get students on your end. But as said, if there's anything that bores you during my brief presentation here, or if there's anything you want to skip, just let me know. And I'd rather like to have this or this being a conversation than just me presenting. So don't be shy. I know it's a bit intimidating talking to somebody from the other end of the world, but as Eden said before, I'm rather casual when it comes to that. So just ask. Okay, I guess I will present the slides just to make it complete and just stop me anywhere in between. Well, most of you might not have heard of the place called Aachen, especially because it's a weird German pronunciation. Nobody can actually pronounce it. Everybody would usually say Aachen, which is fine to us as well. But I just wanted to give you an idea where we actually are and where you would be doing your internship or your summer research program. We are located right on the border with the Netherlands and Belgium, which is strategically speaking a great location because just to give you a little heads up about your travels, you are anywhere in Europe within, not anywhere, but within 3 or 4 hours and locations you absolutely want to see. And be assured that most of the students actually make use of that opportunity. We always have people not joining our trips, but going on individual trips to any of the cities you see here and beyond. We had some crazy trips this year as well, but more on that later. So yes, what makes Aachen rather special? I mean, I've only lived here for close to 2 years, so I'm not all that biased, but to be honest, it's a perfect place for students to be in. It is bigger than Ann Arbor, but a lot smaller than Detroit, to give you a little comparison here to Michigan. Maybe what you're used to from Michigan. It is a very typical university town. Eden was lucky to also visit it this spring, summer-ish. It rained a lot when you were there, so that was not the perfect time to be here. But we do get nice summers as well, even though this year was rather bizarre with how much it rained. But to focus on the details here, are the most important things. It's 250,000 people. Out of those 250,000, we have around 70,000 students. So you get the picture here. Um, there's anything you need from nature outside, from beautiful cobblestone streets, and you can go anywhere if you get bored by a city that's maybe not too big, not too small. What I always say, because we do have rather large metropolitan areas in the vicinity, such as Cologne, Düsseldorf, but also, and that's something I really like to stress, just you can actually walk across the border. You can bicycle across the border, and you are in the Netherlands and in Belgium. So that is something I also feel in Aachen, that it is not a typical German city, but it mixes quite a variety of different cultural influences. And it is also very international because we do have around 33% international students, which, you'll see here. Who are we? If you have not heard about us, we are, well, what some people would refer to as the powerhouse of German engineering. Munich and Aachen always compete for that title, I suppose, but we're top two German University of Technology, a rather large university, and we're one of the 11 universities of excellence in Germany. And the entire city is essentially dominated by the university, so that might be similar to what you're used to from back home in Ann Arbor. Just to give you a rough idea, because I want to stress we're not all about engineering. I don't know if you can share that later too, what your main focuses are. But yes, you guys, I know you are in the College of Engineering, so engineering would be something you would probably be interested in as well when coming to Aachen. But if anybody wanted to do interdisciplinary work, we also offer that in the projects, but also part of our faculty, just so you've seen and heard about that as well. Well, we don't like to brag, I guess, but we always show this as well because you will be coming to a good place. If you want to compare it to American standards, I guess we are sort of the German Ivy League with a heavy STEM focus. Times Higher Education ranks us at 90 right now, QS World ranking 106. And then you see the different engineering or other disciplines ranked below as well. So you will be coming to a good place. But now, enough about our university. What I'd like to focus on is our actual program because that's what you're here for. That's what you want to hear about. We are the longest running program of its kind in Germany. It's a 10-week summer research internship program, and we dubbed it Europe International. Europe stands for Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program. Way too long, of course, so that's why everybody refers to it as Europe or Europe, depending on how you like to pronounce it. Specifically for students from American and Canadian universities, we work with 11 partners. We do get the odd non-partner, usually Ivy League students joining as well. But this will not mean that you will just be hanging out with Canadians and Americans because we do make sure that you get the full experience. You will all receive a German or, well, they're not all German nationals, but they're students studying at our university to guide you, and they're usually the perfect conduit to social life here in Aachen. So if that's one of your worries, will I just be hanging out with people from back home? Definitely not. What is Europe and what do we do? We always, to give you a better idea of what the program is about, focus on the fact that you have three main components, but the main component is your individual and independent research project you will be undertaking here. That means you will have your individual project that usually nobody else has, or maybe one or two other students will do, and you will be hosted by an institute, a chair here at our university, conducting your own research project. On the side, you will, of course, get lots of insight into what it's like to do research here, maybe what a German university is different from what you know at home. So that will be your core activity and experience here. But also, we do offer German language courses, depending on your previous experience. So some of you might have had a course already, where others might just start from scratch. And you do not need to know any German before coming here, and you will be able to get by without knowing any German. We've done this for ages, so of course it always helps to have a little German and to bring a little German, but it's absolutely no necessity. Of course, we also want you to have fun, and I think most people looking back on it cherish those moments the most. The trips we'll take with you, the different training, intercultural training we do with you, the buddy program I mentioned before. Um, but what the special thing about the program is that the group grows, well, they sort of grow together as a unit at some point. It's always a very bittersweet moment when everybody heads back home. So we feel like it's a perfect mix of, the serious things, the research experience, but also the language and the fun stuff. And that's something we always like to emphasize. You're here for your career, but you're also here, of course, to, connect, to make friends, and to also maybe build a future network that will help you in the long run. I will just ask this now. If there's any question, because I've been talking a bit, even though I said I want to make this informal and discourse, please just ask. I'm serious. If not, I would just proceed.
If you guys want to either unmute or pop it in the chat what your majors are too, that would probably be helpful as well.
Yes.
I'm chemical engineering.
Mhm.
I'm industrial engineering.
Chemical and industrial.
Okay. We usually have a lot of projects listed in our database there, so that's good. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Great. Okay, I've listed, you might have seen that on the website as well, but just to make it complete, I've listed our key dates here. student arrival by. We formulate this a bit vaguely because essentially you are allowed to arrive anywhere, at least on our end, from May 1st. Usually we try to do it May 2nd because May 1st is a public holiday here, but you will have the housing available as of then. And whenever you want to arrive before May 16th, you are free to do so as well. The official start of the program is Monday, May 19th, where we'll have our big orientation day. You'll get to meet the entire group. We usually have made the experience that people, because we have a different, we have different channels like Discord and everything, that people connect beforehand, and half of the group has already met without us knowing, so to say. But yes, so then 10 weeks, very intensive and fun program until Friday, July 25th. That's our departure day, or the departure day is one day after, but that's our farewell ceremony. And that will conclude the program. Some of the things we'll be taking you on, I just, because there's lots of information, lots of details, I like to show pictures in between as well. We do organize trips every Saturday for you, smaller trips almost every Wednesday. And some of the cities in the vicinity are Bonn, Cologne, Düsseldorf, Maastricht, which is in the Netherlands, but we also added Liège in Belgium to give you an idea of the tri-border area and that it's all very close by. We also take you on culture trips, of course. I always say this, you can't go to Germany and not see a castle, so that's something we also do. Cathedral in Cologne, cultural heritage. We also take you to the German Museum, or the Museum of German History, rather. But also we would like you, if you like, of course, to be active. So we always do a weekend trip to Ruhrsee, which is a beautiful lake around the corner here. We take you canoeing, hiking, kayaking, but it's all optional. If that's not your jam, of course, you don't have to join. But we feel like most people always appreciate the opportunity to do something as a group. But I stressed that before as well. If you want to do your independent travel, that's more than fine with us as well. And we feel like usually what happens is after 3 or 4 weeks, students are so accustomed to being here, they're more adventurous and like to explore on their own as well. And then Eden stressed that I should definitely mention this because I almost kicked out this slide. We do have a rather cool thing in Germany these days, which is called a Deutschland ticket, Germany ticket, that allows you to travel the entire country. Not on the bullet train you see here on the left, so that might be misleading actually when I just looked at this picture, but on regional trains, buses, and subways, and it's included in the program fee. And yes, students do make use of that quite a bit, not just within the city here or the vicinity, because they expanded as it used to be for a state only, and now you can do it in the entire country. There's a lot of infrastructure construction going on right now, so there might be a delay here and there, but it's still a great thing to do while you're here. Yes, if you want to go to different countries, of course, you'd have to purchase your own ticket, but that's usually, if you book in advance, quite easy to do. And I know that your fellow classmates who were here last year, they will probably have a bit of advice on that as well. I'm sure that if you decide to go and join the program, we'll have a separate information session where we'll all talk about all these details. And Eden, you will probably invite one of the Europe alumni again to share all the specific details on how they did it. Because it's usually always great to hear from fellow students who participated in the program previously. So a bit more on sort of how the program works and what's part of it. I mentioned this before, you will be receiving a buddy, meaning an RWTH student who already knows his or her way around campus. You will get to meet that person even before you head here, but that person will show you around once you arrive. And usually they are the perfect gateway for you into life here, not just at the university, but also in the city. They've been here for a while. They know how to deal with janitors. They will actually move in with you. That's what we always encourage them to do. And usually everybody is able to do that as well. And of course, a potential friend when you don't know people in the city yet. Of course, they don't have to be your friend throughout the entire stay if you don't get along, but at least for the first couple of weeks, they prove to be rather handy and useful. And yes, social life, that's also one aspect, because as you would imagine, knowing somebody here who has friends, who knows which parties to go to or what cafes to go to, they are just the perfect way of doing it, because we as a team, we like to assist and help as well. But of course, we can only do so much. Then accommodation is something students usually are very interested in as well. We do have different types of accommodation available for you. They are all part of the program as well. So they're part of the program fee. Let me just check. My son is actually coming around the corner here. Okay, he seems to be fine. Anyway, so usually what you would get is either a single dorm room and you share the kitchen and bathroom with fellow students, or a single apartment with your own bath and your own kitchen. We have those different setups for you. So you don't have to be scared. You will not, well, scared. I mean, we don't have the setup where you will share an actual room with a person, which of course can be the case in American dorms. This will not be something you're looking at. The housing is really affordable. It will all be covered for you throughout the fees, but it is rather inexpensive. One sec. Okay, you didn't see him Eden, right? Because Eden and Maya, they know each other, so.
I saw the little tiny outline of his head.
Okay, your room, buddy, okay?
His son knows everything there is to know about American football. Very, very impressive.
Okay, I actually told him you were here too. He's watching a show. Anyway, sorry for the interruption. You know, that's what life with kids is like. He knows. Anyway, where was I? Yes. Buddy will come into play here as well. And as outlined before, housing beginning of May, all throughout July. So if you want to stay a little longer, I know it's only 5 days, but you're more than welcome to do so as well. And that's something our student assistant always mentioned, or said we should mention all dorm and apartment buildings have laundry machines. So in case you're worried where to do your laundry, it's all there. Yes. So logistics we've covered. We've covered the social aspects. Let's talk about how you would be able to get into the program. Eden will outline that a bit later on, because for University of Michigan, it's always, you have your special process going on. But I wanted to show you that we do have the project database. And if you want to, we can look at the database a bit later on as well, because you will be able to pick up to 3 projects you will be applying for. And then it's up to the supervisors here, so professors or postdocs, PhD students, to choose the students they would like to have on that project. Some projects are rather competitive, meaning we do get a larger number of applications. And then, of course, it helps being from a very good university such as yours. But it always helps, of course, also to be able to prove that you've maybe had this and that experience, that you bring a certain expertise. So that's something I would really also like to stress here and for you to bear in mind. We don't need much. We only need a CV. We need a letter of motivation and a transcript of records. Eden will explain what we will also be needing from the University of Michigan end. But for us, that's essentially it. And you will file sort of a separate application after having gone through the UM application process as well. But I would strongly encourage you to take a look at the database. We are currently finalizing the projects listed for next year. Our supervisors have until next week to complete everything, but we have gotten a rather good new chunk of projects available. But you still have time to decide on that. If you want to have your first idea of what you might be interested in, please do so now already. But once you check in, let's say, I think end of next week, that's when you have the deadline, you will have the complete list of projects available to you. But I I would say around 85–90% of the projects that are in the database right now will also be listed by the end of next week. Did I forget anything here, Eden? Sometimes, when you look at those things all day, you forget certain things that might be relevant for students coming from the US and Canada.
Nope, I think that about covers it. I'll definitely dive more into the R requirements in addition to these. I think the only thing I would add is you can apply up to 3 projects. The letter of motivation, it's 1 per project, correct?
Yes, thanks for pointing this out, which doesn't mean you have to reinvent the wheel, of course, but just make sure it actually addresses the requirements in the project there is, but about your motivation and your person, that will most likely not change. Yes, I wanted to leave some impressions to you as well, because at the end of the program, we always finish on a rather high note, because we have our Europe Symposium, which is the highlight towards the end of the program, where everybody gets to present their results to a larger audience. So your fellow students, your buddies, essentially everybody you've met here, your supervisors, but also a greater audience. And I know that for some people that might sound a bit scary at first, but everybody really enjoys it, because you will get to actually present what you've been up to, the research that many students tend to be rather proud of. At the end, you don't have to present it like the young lady here on the bottom left to everybody, because usually we'll have you walking around presenting and also checking out everybody else's results, which always proves to be the highlight towards the end. And actually, we do have a student, yes, up there, that's Sarah. On top right corner, she presented her results as well. And as I mentioned before, that's always a moment that's rather bittersweet, because everybody knows they'll be heading back home, and we'll probably not see each other for a rather long time. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. And if you have any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them now or later as well. And if not, I'll hand over to Eden.
Great. Any questions for Jan at this point before I dive into all the UM-IPE things?
For the student cafeteria card, is there a limit?
Oh, is there a limit to how much is on the cafeteria card?
No,
Yeah,
essentially
how
you
much?
top it up. Yeah,
Okay.
so you will receive a card and you can always top it up. It's a bit different from the US, I suppose, because you determine how much you want to have on that card, and then you purchase your lunch or your cafe or your coffee, whatever you feel like having individually. So there's not a meal plan. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
The card definitely gets you the kind of the discounted student prices,
Mhm.
correct? So,
That's right. They're heavily discounted, and by comparison, it's dead cheap here. That's what everybody always says, that they're amazed at how much more inexpensive food is over here, not just at the cafeteria, but also at the different restaurants. Of course, there are high-end restaurants that you probably do not want to go to, but generally speaking, because it's a student city, you will find a lot of inexpensive options here.
all right,
I'll stop sharing maybe, so you can take over.
my screen. Same goes. If you all have any questions, please jump in, let me know. We'll definitely have more time at the end. I know I've met at least one of you, but for Alejandro, my name's Eden, so I am the advisor for the Aachen program on the IPE side. And let's see. Can you all see my screen okay? Okay.
Yeah.
So as Jan already touched on, May 16th is the arrival suggested arrival date, we put that as the start date for our program. To give you a chance to settle into Aachen before the weekend hits, we highly encourage you to get there by May 16th. That is a Friday. And then the official end date, July 26th. So the exact program fee is still TBD. There's a couple factors we need to finish up, but last year it was $1,725 US dollars. Definitely very reasonable, the cheapest research program we have. So that's a big draw for students. It's a really great deal for the tuition. That also includes housing. So really, really awesome. We also made sure on our M-Compass brochure page, there's a finances tab. We lay out an entire budget sheet for you all to check out to see the other expenses in addition to the program fee, such as airfare, how much you might spend on food during the time in the program. So some of those other things that you'd be paying out of pocket for. Last year, the estimate was around $5,200. The good news is that the program fee is billed through your University of Michigan account, which means that you can use any U of M financial aid and scholarships towards the program, which is really helpful for students. We're opening apps for this program November 1st. So on Friday, our application deadline is December 10. And then if you are nominated, we send you off to do Aachen's application, which is due January 10. So as far as our apps, the minimum GPA 3.2. You're both engineering majors, so you're good to go. LSA's computer science, data science also allowed to apply. Undergraduate only. You have to be at least a sophomore above. So I've completed 2 semesters of university coursework prior to the program. Like Jan said, you don't need German proficiency for the program. Everything is in English. We also do require a passport. So as part of your application for us, IPE, you have to provide a scan of a passport that's valid. So check your expiration date through at least January 2026. Or if you do need to renew or get a passport, you'll have to have applied for a passport before that December 10th date. And you need to be able to upload the receipts from that application to prove that you actually did submit a application for a passport or a renewal. If you have any questions, reach out to IPE. We've done this process multiple times and we're happy to help as much as possible. So like I said, our deadline is December 10. I will review those applications. Nomination decisions would be made no later than December 17th. Then we send you instructions about how to finish the Aachen application. You have until January 10. At that point, Jan's going to be taking all of your materials and sending them off to the project supervisors for whichever projects you ranked as your top 2 or 3. And then those supervisors, it's ultimately their decision about which student they decide to invite to participate in their lab. So I believe, and Jan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it should be sent between mid-February, early March for placements. If you get a lab placement, you should be notified at that point.
That's correct.
For us, a week after you get that official invitation, that is our confirmation deadline. So you have 1 week to decide whether you are 100% going to do the program or not. So you'll get instructions at that point about how to go about confirming your participation. But this is the crucial point, because once you confirm and officially say yes, you are on the hook for the program fee. So that almost, $2,000 or so, if you back out after saying yes, you would still have to pay the $2,000. So be very sure at that point that you are committing and you are wanting to do the program. again, if you have any questions about this, as part of the application, which is a required advising appointment with me. So, I'm putting in the chat the brochure, the M-Compass brochure for the page. Hopefully you've already looked at this, but if you go to the contact page, you can schedule an appointment with me right there, and we can answer any other personal questions that you might have at that point. You do need to do that before you're able to submit your application. So if you are interested in applying, please schedule an appointment with me before December 10th. We also have various M-Compass questionnaires, learning content, signature documents. All of that, once you start an application, there's a list that will pop up on your application. It's mostly just information, a few legalities that you need to sign, letters of motivation, one for each project, your CV and resume, and then the passport information. Your unofficial or unofficial transcripts, I believe, are okay for the Aachen application. So you don't have to give them to us. We will prompt you to send it to Aachen as part of their application. For us, the CV, resume, and the letters of motivation, all of our M-Compass things, required advising appointment, and then the passport information. Any questions thus far about the application process or what's required? All right, so scholarships and grants. As I mentioned earlier, you can apply for your financial aid to travel with you if you use any. If you fill out a financial aid form, you're automatically considered for our Go Global scholarship as well. We also invite students to be bloggers while they're abroad, and you get paid per post. So it's a good way to earn some extra pocket money. The student you actually saw in the pictures that Jan pointed out, Sarah, she was our blogger this past year. I'll show you where to find her blog if you want to read about her experiences. Of course, we also have all these external scholarships. If you check out our funding page and open up all these tabs, it's a really good starting place to look for other scholarships. Right. I'll briefly show you the M-Compass brochure and then open it up for any last minute questions. Okay. So again, hopefully you have seen this before. This is the overview page. You scroll down and you go to this button, Read Student Experiences. That is Sarah's blog. So you can read all about what she did, what her research was like, what her housing was like, what trips she took. It's a really great way to learn more about the program from a student point of view as well. Any final questions? I'll go ahead and stop the recording just in case you all want to ask something without it being recorded.